Today, we're going one-on-one with Dr. Renee Fowler Hornbuckle as she gives an in-depth, step-by-step, retrospective look on recalibrating your life from the inside out. Come along on this journey as Dr. Renee speaks.
Today on Dr. Renee Speaks, we're going to talk about something that I had to confront in my life. That is the issue of self-control. You know, I want you to look at life from this perspective, okay? We are transformers, and many times we set out to transform the world, and we want to have people to stop doing the things that they're doing. We want people to make the changes that we want them to make, but we never do the transformational work on ourselves. Therein lies the problem when it comes to self-control. The Bible says a fool gives full vent to his anger, but a wise man keeps himself under control. So that's Proverbs 29:11. But the thing of it is that we want to transform everybody else. We want to deal with everybody else, but we don't want to deal with ourselves. When a lot of times we're the problem, we're the issue. So there was a time in my life when I was very vocal about everything, and I expected everybody around me to transform, only to come through some things in life that kind of took me back to a perspective of, you know what, there's one common denominator in all of this. You're trying to get other people to change, but you know what, you got to do the work on yourself. And so this scripture really hit me. And so I started thinking, you know what, I can't transform anybody else until I really work on myself. So when it comes to the issue of self-control, we have to be honest with ourselves, and we have to look at where we really are. Developing self-control is probably one of the most difficult challenges you will ever have, but it's something that you must do. And if we're keen to what God is speaking in His Word, and we want to be wise, then we'll do what's required. So for a few moments, I want you to stop looking at everybody else. I want you to look at yourself, and I want you to ask yourself this question. Am I a person who is under control? People that are out of control are people that typically will say, I can speak my own mind. I can do what I want to do. Can't nobody tell me nothing. You know what? You probably have some real serious issues and effects on people that are probably not very positive. Now, somebody might take issue with me, but I think a lot of times we just kind of get this askew because it's so easy, again, to look at everybody else and to expect them to change and not do the change ourselves. So I want you to think about some things, because we've got to learn how to master ourselves. The Bible talks more about how we need to, bring ourselves under subjection. We need to master ourselves. We need to take our thoughts captive. We do that so that we can present what is right. So if you have behaviors in your life, if you have belief systems in your life, if you have mindsets in your life, thoughts in your life that are not healthy, then why wouldn't you want to change? So when it comes to you managing yourself, look at yourself and say, am I out of control? Am I doing things, saying what I want to say? And what kind of impact is it having on other people? So you got to really get to a place to where you practice self-constraint, okay? Self-constraint in thought, speech, and action. Those things are vitally important in our life, everyday living. Our culture teaches us to be self-expressive and to do and say and feel any kind of way. And I think for the most part, because of that low standard, a lot of people are living out of control. And so what are you willing to look at and assess in your life, Because if you look closely, hear me now, if you look closely, usually those behaviors, thought processes, actions probably are leading you to places that you really should not be. It's also producing things in your life that you really don't want to produce, okay? So self-control is nothing to be afraid of. It's something that, again, I love this scripture because it says, a fool gives vent to his anger, okay? So I used to be very vocal, and I would say anything that came to my mind. I was out of control, okay? And I would just cut up. I know you don't do that, but I would cut up. I was young. I was in my 20s. I would cut up I would, say what I needed to say. I'd get people told. You know what? I was acting like a fool. I was out of control. People were really embarrassed that were with me, and I didn't realize it for years. They started kind of walking away because if somebody did me wrong at the grocery store or in the restaurant, I can't even imagine now maybe what was in my food because of how I acted sometimes with some of the people that were serving me in restaurants. I'm just like, oh my God, how was I acting like that? I was acting that way because I was out of control. I was like what is referenced here in Scripture, a fool giving vent to his anger. And why do you have to tell everybody everything? Why do you have to get everybody told? It is absolutely not necessary. No, we need to learn how to practice restraint, especially if we're wise people, because life and death is in the power of the tongue. And so we say things that are so hurtful, and we minimize situations, we downplay situations, we say horrible things to people. That is not healthy, okay? We got to be more mature in how it is that we live. And the Bible is telling us here that a wise man keeps himself under control. So guess what? You don't have to give your opinion on every situation. You don't have to always speak, especially, if it's something negative, Again, think about it. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. And so that means that what you speak is scripted and you can't take it back. What damage have we done by the words that we've said? By things that we've spoken, that if we had just filtered and said, you know what, should I say that or not say that, then it wouldn't have done the damage that it did. It could have been to your children. It could have been to your parents. It could have been to your spouse. I deal with a lot of couples, and a lot of times they just are not filtered in what they say. They have no self-control, so they get mad at their spouse and they say whatever they want to say, and that inflicts damage. And let me tell you this, sometimes it is far more damaging, the mental and emotional inflictions of pain that we dish out. That is so much more damaging than anything that's physical, because we don't see those scars. But when you speak that negativity, you're speaking something that really can tear a person down. And so you have to stop and you have to be healed, because hurting people hurt people. Okay, a lot of times we're out of control because we've been hurt, and we're gonna get you told first. That really kind of how was what my issue was and why I was so out of control, because I was never gonna allow anybody to say anything to me. I was gonna always say it first. Well, I was a hurting person. I had to deal with that. I had to be healed in that area. And so rather than being a hurting person who hurt people, now I'm a healed person who wants to heal people. So I'm very conscientious about the words that I speak, okay? I'm going to typically really process through the things that I do, the actions that I take, because now I'm at a place of maturity. We have to get to that place so that we can be more responsible and accountable for our actions. So I'm going to give you some thoughts here that you need to think about. You got to know yourself. Be honest with yourself. Look yourself in the mirror, because who knows you better than you? You know yourself. And because you know yourself, with God's help, you're the one that can control yourself. Your thoughts, your behaviors, your actions, your speech. You can control yourself, You make the choice every day about what you do and how you live. So it's really up to you. Learn to evaluate yourself and eliminate unhealthy patterns of thinking. That's really the biggest way that you're going to be able to be transformed in the renewing of your mind, okay? It's through the positive words of the Bible, but it's also through you taking responsibility and saying, you know what? I'm going to eliminate things in my life that are unhealthy, belief systems, thought patterns. You are the one that is responsible for that, all right? So I'll leave you with this closing quote from Conrad Hayden. Those who wish to transform the world must be able to transform themselves first. So that's why I say you're a transformer. So learn self-control. The bottom line is that you're either a fool or you're wise. But wise people keep themselves under control.
To partner and or support Dr. Renee, visit ReneeHornbuckle.com.